Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Game podcast. One game this week, Kamen. Just one single game.
The
The Spotlight,
Spotlight game.
podcast.
We're really crushing the intro.
I know. You know what happened? I was about to do the intro and I was like, I remember last time I did this, I said my name. Let's see if I can not fuck it up. And I was thinking that the whole time I was speaking. So, of course, I fucked it up. Welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. I'm your host, Patrick. Joining me as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Kamen. Kamen, how are you?
Man, Patrick, I'm here.
You're here. Can you believe it? We're on this bi-weekly cadence, not on purpose right now, but it means that we have a lot to talk about when we meet.
Sure.
In terms of games we're playing or not playing. But today we're going to be talking about The Expanse. We're going to be talking about Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. We're going to be talking about maybe Twisted Metal Season 1 a little bit more, a little touch on that. But most importantly, we're going to be talking about should Tears of the Kingdom be Game of the Year this year. We have a whole topic planned. Maybe pair it with a little side of Burnout. Kamen. Just a little
side,
little zest, a little Burnout zest. But Kamen, there's just so many things to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we talk about, each week, sometimes every other week, we talk about the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Kamen, yes. There's something about when these lights are on, I see you across the internet space. I could be having a day where I just don't want to record, but once we start recording, I'm glad to be here.
It just feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good. Even if there was nothing to talk about, our listeners know we can fill 2 hours.
Just we could do more than that, brother.
Brother. But Kamen, I come to you today, but a humble man,
brother. You've never been humble.
Oh,
and humble. You shouldn't be.
Stop it. Do I need to get up and shake my ass for you on camera right now? Would we get banned on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod if I shook my ass?
It's funny you say that. So I've been in pajamas all day.
Oh.
And I was like, I got to get a shower before we go on live, and I got to put on real people clothes. And then I was like, wait, why would I do that? For anyone that watches this live, you never see the lower half of me. And then I was like, wait, but then there's always that one chance.
Yep.
We get just spicy enough where I will get up and shake my tush in the camera. I don't want people to see me in my pajama bottoms.
Because famously, your pajama bottoms are nothing. You're Winnie the Pooh.
Nothing. It is just, it's just belly hanging out and nothing else.
Yeah. Kamen the Pooh. No, actually, I do want to ask you this, Kamen. Mm-hmm. I feel like, if I were to guess, a Kamen Darty pajama set, maybe it's a band t-shirt, maybe it's a t-shirt that says like I drink blood on Fridays, and just like some shorts. But tell me, Kamen, are you a pajama set boy? Do you have a cute little striped are you the boy in the striped pajamas?
No.
Not that boy in the striped pajamas.
Oh, well, I'm definitely not that boy. Thank goodness. No, I'm so when I'm not in bed sleeping,
yes,
I rock gym shorts. That's my sleepwear. Just gym shorts.
Yeah.
But I like rocking during the summer. I like rocking sweat shorts over top of them.
Ooh, double
it's like underwear. Like the gym shorts are essentially underwear. You just get more free flow. More comfortable for me. It's not constricting, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So I rock a pair of sweat shorts over top. And then normally, like you said, it's normally a band t-shirt and or a horror movie t-shirt is like normally what I wear when it's like that's my normal outfit when I'm not going in public. Sometimes I don't want people when I go in public to realize that I'm kind of a weirdo.
Sure.
So
aren't we all though?
But I just imagine you are very much, Patrick. You are the guy who wears like that plain white tee that people wear under dress shirts. Okay, plain white tee, and I'm really thinking plaid flannel pants.
So there was a long period in my life where I was a white tee for bedtime boy. So you're on to something there.
Okay.
And part of it was my mother, my beautiful mother, she so often growing up and even as an adult sometimes buys me clothes. It's one of her love languages is gift giving. And so she would just like give me packs of white t-shirts. And so I'd be like, I'm not a white t-shirt under the dress shirt guy unless it's cold, because I don't want the second layer. I want breathability. So I'm like, I have these fucking 19 white tees. I might as well sleep in them. What else am I going to do in them?
I feel it.
And then there was, when I was a young boy, when I was a young fit king, it'd be a no shirt all year round. It fucking
just
in the middle
sitting
of
around the
winter.
house.
Yeah.
Nips out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sun's out, nips out. That's what I always say.
Yeah. The rhyme there specifically is
I got kicked out of a Target one time for saying that too.
Yeah, I was there. I was there. But I have aspirations to have like matching pajama sets. I actually bought one while I was in Japan that I've only worn like once, partially because it doesn't fit me well. I might need to lose a couple lbs before that fits me a little better. But I'm normally just like whatever t-shirt. Maybe it's World's Greatest Papa. Maybe it's just a shirt that just says Papa. I have a lot of dad related shirts and Papa related shirts.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. And I have what one brand calls Saturday shorts, just like a casual short. Your sometimes like a soccer short from my football days. On the pitch, Kamen.
On the pitch.
But what I'm saying is all of this to say 7 minutes in, there isn't really a box that I fit in when it comes to pajama wear. But I'm willing to learn to be put in a box. For pajama wear.
I'm not. I'm very much just like, let me just have my fucking sweat shorts over my gym shorts.
Yeah. Wintertime though, I don't know that I do have a flannel looking pair of pajama pants, although they're kind of, the butt's kind of coming out of them, but it's like a gray black pajama, not like a flannel, not like a red black, normal flannel. But I like a sweatpant in the wintertime.
I'm a comfy boy.
Yeah.
I do love my comfy and sweats. And
yeah,
that's it.
Let us know what you wear to bed. Kamen, what do you say we talk about some video games?
The audience is begging for that.
I mean, if they didn't already fast forward or put us on 1.75 speed.
Yes. They're listening to us talk about pajama wear for 5 minutes. Yeah.
I'm in the chat. P-Schwag, it's my wife. She's also a comfy boy.
It's true.
She loves a matching set. It's one of her greatest features. Loves a matching set to bed. Kamen, I've been playing. So I mean, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you can play all sorts of games in 2 weeks.
It's
you
true.
can do all sorts of things in 2 weeks, or you could do nothing.
Also true.
I finished Tears of the Kingdom on Sunday. We're going to talk about that more in full. Topic of the show. But last episode, I said at the end of the show, you know what, guys? I'm going to be playing in the Expanse episode 1. I'll have my impressions next week. Kamen, I did just that.
Did you?
I want to start us off with Telltale's The Expanse, episode 1, impressions. I only say I mean, I could review episode 1, but I feel like it might make more sense to do a review when it's all said and done. Something worth mentioning up front. If you've played a Telltale game in the past, one of their biggest flaws has been their release schedule over time. Sometimes it takes fucking 4 months for the next episode to come out. They said from the get-go, I think it's 2 weeks, a new episode is dropping. So when this drops tomorrow, I should have episode 2 of The Expanse, which is great. If you haven't played a Telltale game before, a little insight into what this game is. It's essentially, I just said. Essentially, it's essentially it's adjacent to a visual novel, but you're walking around, you're clicking on things, kind of a old school point and click adventure in a way, but very dialogue driven, very conversation driven, very choice driven. You might see in memes like, a character will remember this kind of originated from Telltale. Not to say the other games didn't do that, but like they kind of, that was like their big thing. You would make these choices and the story in theory would branch in different ways. Then they went out of business and now they're back. And this is their first game as a new reborn studio. And I'll tell you what, Kamen.
Yeah.
It just feels like Telltale again.
Does it?
In all the good ways and all the bad ways.
Mm.
I think I'll start with the good. I really like the story they're telling. You were a big fan of The Expanse. I watched season 1 and part of season 2, and I still plan on going back. I just still haven't yet. But it never got its grips in me. But it follows the story of, so this is a prequel, so this is not a spoiler for anything, but it follows the story of Kara Gee,
I love her.
and the beginning of her, I guess the ship, maybe she has a ship in the show, perhaps. I forget if I knew that from season 1. But it's essentially kind of about her crew and things go wrong and you play as her, so you're making choices as her with your crew. So there is the story already in. Like I was really captivated by episode 1 from a narrative perspective. I was surprised at how janky episode 1 felt. They kind of, when they announced this, they were like, we've completely rebuilt our system from the ground up and, new graphic style, but they were like, their whole thing is, we want this game to feel more, quote unquote, next gen in terms of what a Telltale game can be. And I do think for the most part, they deliver on that promise.
Sure.
But I was surprised at how, like, it still feels really kind of janky to walk around. And
so it feels like a Telltale game.
It feels like a Telltale game. And I was kind of expecting it to not feel as janky.
Sure.
But in a way, like, that's not, this game and this style of game doesn't necessarily need to be like the cleanest made thing. It is more so about the narrative and the choices you're making and that kind of thing. So while that is a bit of a negative for me, I'm very excited for episode 2. Like, I really want to see where this story goes. I think it is the same actor that played Karagi in the show. That is both voice and performance capture.
I will say one thing, and this is for people who've never seen The Expanse. I think the most jarring thing is, and it's something you have to kind of understand, is that a lot of these characters are essentially, they're like bottom dwellers. They live, and a lot of them are born on like mining planets, so they don't have, like, they have like artificial gravity, and they have to take like bone supplements to make their bones density higher because they weren't born on Earth. And that like plays into some of the episodes and a lot of like the dynamic. I say that because they all have a very interesting accent,
and
it can definitely throw you at first. Like, it grows on you. It grows on you, but it can definitely throw you for a loop when you're like,
I was really glad that I watched some of it, because when they started talking, I was like, oh, right, I forgot they talk like this. It's like a weird like mix of like Scottish and like Afrikaans and like it is so Cajun. Many and Cajun. It's like so many different things at the same time. It's so
really
strange.
Cool. It's really cool when you see it in action and you're like, it does feel like this is like a whole like demographic of people, or like a whole I'm trying to think of the term I'm looking for, like a
culture.
Like a culture. Dialect. It's like a certain dialect where it feels real. All of the characters have like, and that's I think what they did really well in the show, was that all the characters feel like, it's, since they all have the same, or like if they're from this one area, they all have the same accent. It doesn't feel like, why is this one person talking like a fucking lunatic?
Right.
Which I think is really cool. But it can definitely be jarring if you have no clue what you're stepping into.
Yeah, I had whiplash for like half a second. I was like, oh wait, no, I remember this. But yeah, I just hope, my biggest hope for it is, because I'm like I said, I'm excited for episode 2. The first one was maybe like 2 hours. I assume it's probably going to be about that for each of them. There is definitely a more, they've seemingly made an effort to make the game more explorable. It's still, small maps, but being in space, like there's some zero G situation. So like it does, even though it still feels janky, it feels better than any Telltale game has ever felt before, for sure. Like, and that's noticeable, which is good. I was hoping for a little bit better, but I just really hope, and I'll report back, that this doesn't fall into the same Telltale kind of pitfalls that a lot of their previous games did for me, where it's like the illusion of choice. We've talked about it on the show before, where like they say like all of this is every choice you make is gonna change everything, and I just hope that. And so often it was like you get to the end, it's like, oh well, the end is still the same. It's just
Like,
some things changed in the middle.
You say that, but you're not Baldur's Gate 3.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. God, I can't wait to play Baldur's Gate 3.
So.
But yeah, so I hope they don't fall into that pitfall. Like I said, only first episode, so I don't know yet. But I will say, Terry in the chat, hey Terry, can't wait to get into the Expanse. Old Telltale reminds me of a simpler time. It honestly felt really nice playing a Telltale game. And I almost got the urge to download like Walking Dead season 1 and play through that for the like 7th time, because it really, like, there is a nostalgia.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Or, oh God, fucking Wolf Among Us season 2 should be coming. I think they said next year. Oh, I can't wait.
Fucking hope so, bro.
I hope so. But yeah, so I would say if you're interested in the Expanse, or if you watch the show and you've never played Telltale, play the game. I like it. I'm in. I'm very excited to keep moving forward. Another game came in that I have not finished, but I'm pretty close to finishing, is Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. This is a game that we've talked about on the show. I, in particular, was excited for this for obvious reasons. I love video games. I love musicals. And the cast on this game is so stacked. We got Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, Ashley Johnson. It's basically The Last of Us. Merle Dandridge, Janina Gavankar,
Merle Dandridge,
Rahul Kohli, Felicia Day, Anthony Rapp.
Fuck.
Like the cast is so insane. And the premise is you play as a god who is a muse. And so she busts into song and like has other people sing around her at times. And so just like, and it's a Greek mythology story set in like the present day. So it's giving Wolf Among Us in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very good.
Oh.
And I am so disappointed. It's not bad. And Terry in the chat, I started Stray Gods a couple of days ago, and I'm having a good time so far. I'm not having a bad time. I just had such high expectations because of the talent attached to this game. Sure. Troy Baker, music directing. Austin Wintory, Grammy Award-winning composer, composing the music. But I think I have a few issues with this game. The first is the story's pretty basic. I can forgive a basic story if the music's good. The music's not great. If it's a musical, like, you kind of need the music to be good. And ultimately, and this might not, Terry, I wish the musical numbers were written better. The lyrics are trash. Terry, let me know if you agree with me. And for all of my my theater friends that listen to this show, I think you'll resonate with this. It doesn't feel like a musical as much as it feels like a musical improv derogatory. Ooh. Like, these lyrics don't feel like musical lyrics. They feel like someone wrote dialogue and then asked someone to write a melody to it.
So, okay, hold on.
Yes.
A rock opera.
They want it to be, but even a rock opera is still ultimately, because here's the thing with musical theater, with opera, with any kind of song storytelling medium. And I feel like such a fucking nerd, but I went to college for this. The whole point is that they're singing because words can't get across what they need to say, and thus they sing. And I just don't believe that the things that these gods and people are saying aren't worth dialogue. Like, nothing they're saying is like next level, or like, the stakes are so low so often, and I just don't believe that they need to be singing. But that's the thing. Ultimately, my issue is buy this game and play this game, because I think if they could have a second shot at this, I do think this could be something really special. I really love, we've never had a game like this objectively.
So what?
Like,
Okay, hold on. Let's take a step back.
let's take a step back.
Let's take a step back. What the fuck is this game, Patrick?
It is a visual novel through and through. You
So it's
barely,
Okay.
I mean, like, you don't walk around at all. You just make dialogue decisions. And then there are times where, like in a Telltale game, you would walk around the environment, point at things and click them. On the right-hand side of the screen is just a menu of things that you can interact with if you want. Might be objects, might be people to talk to. You just go down the list, click, you'll get dialogue. You can make choices if there are choices. And then eventually, like, you'll click the thing that they need you to click to move the plot forward.
Patrick,
that's it.
This sounds boring as shit.
It kind of is. And that is kind of, I think, where it really takes a backseat to potentially being cool. The musical theater fucking art side of my brain wants to kind of pick at it from a creative standpoint. But the gaming podcaster of me also wants to say, Terry, also, I don't know if you've had this issue. It seems like this game, and I hate saying this, but it seems like this game was released way ahead of schedule in a bad way. For a game that really is just a story being told, the sound quality is maybe the worst I've ever experienced in a game.
Okay. This is the role-playing musical.
I know.
Sound quality is bad, Patrick.
The singing quality, for the most part, is fine. But there are times when two characters are talking, and one person will be talking at this volume, and then the next person will be talking at this volume, and it'll go back and forth. And then it'll flip-flop, and all of a sudden person A that was so quiet is the loud one, and person B is whispering. So but it's just a volume issue. It's not like a performance issue.
In cinema, we call that sound mixing.
The sound mixing is so bad in this game.
God. Okay, you've sold me on this game, Patrick.
And I accidentally deleted my save.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing. I'm 2 acts into this 3-act game. And I'm in the middle of a story. It's like a big moment, or I'm about to finish act 2 of this game. Big moment. And I realize that it's going away. And I'm like, you know what? This is my story. I'm going to fucking save scum this. I'm going to quit, come back in and do this song again and make a different choice. But the menu of this game is so unclear in what you're pressing that instead of clicking continue, I clicked new game. And then it like immediately started a new game for me and completely erased my save. So I had to redo like 2.5 hours.
I dig the art style, though.
The art style is great. And like, it's such a pretty thing to look at. The character design is awesome. It's got that Hades thing going for it where like everyone's fucking hot as shit.
Hell yeah,
and
brother.
Most of them are fucking bi, or like everyone is like, you can have sex with basically everybody.
Everybody's fucking everybody.
Everybody's fucking everybody because they're gods, and it's great. But I'm so conflicted on this because I want people to support this studio so that they can have another shot, or at the very least tell the business people that this is a game type that we want again. But I also can't say that it's good. And so I'm at the, like, it's $30. It's not nothing, but it's also not 70. So like, it's definitely, and you know, I'm in act 3 of a 3-act story. So like, and I will say where I'm at, I don't know where you are, Terry, but where I'm at, like, I am finally really interested to see what's about to happen. It's like the first time so far that I'm like legitimately invested in the story, but it took me more than 2/3 of the story to get there. And it just, I don't know. I'm the most conflicted I think I've been in a long time on this game because I really want to like it, but I just don't know that I can. I'll give a final kind of impression next week because I'll probably honestly finish it either tonight or tomorrow. I don't think there's very much left. I think How Long to Beat says it just takes 3 hours. And you know, if I pretend I didn't have to restart the game over, I've probably played for about 2.5 hours. So I don't know, man. Here's what I'll say. This is my parting message before we move on. If you like musicals, if you like Greek mythology, if you like to play a game unlike any game you've ever played before, give the game a shot. Maybe you'll like the music more than I do. Maybe you'll like the story more than I do. And I assume by the time you buy it, the technical stuff will be fixed. But if none of that interests you, or if you're more interested in the gameplay side of it, there is none. It's just dialogue choices. So don't play it. And then final thought. Terry makes a really good point. I wish I wasn't a musical theater person because then I might like this game more, but I agree, play the game. That's the thing. I think I'm coming at this a little more harshly than an average critic because I have musical theater Patrick, director brain, it's Patrick nerd going.
It's okay.
But anyway, that's Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. Any lingering questions from you, Kamen, before we move
on? Oddly enough, none.
Great. I was gonna say that we could talk about kind of put a final button on Twisted Metal season 1, but just watch it. I really enjoyed the rest of it.
I have a final button, Patrick.
Okay, great.
I don't know if you saw the news that came out, but Peacock said that Twisted Metal season 1 was their most binged original series.
It's a huge success.
Yeah. So what's also fucking weird, Patrick, before we move on?
What?
Apparently, Gran Turismo movie is currently fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is it really? I have seen mostly not good reviews.
Same. Everyone kind of was fresh. Like, it's right there in that middle where you can have fun, but it's stupid.
Got
and it. Also apparently they shoehorn in a lot of you should play Gran Turismo, which let's be honest, probably shouldn't.
Sure.
Unless you're Bennett or Gray.
Fucking nerds. Fucking VR. Fucking nerds.
Fucking nerds.
God damn it. I love them both. But yeah, watch Twisted Metal. If you haven't watched Twisted Metal, I mean, you're about to not have anything new for a long time anyway. So watch it because I really liked it. Kamen?
Yes, sir.
This is normally where I would say, Kamen, what have you been playing?
It's true. It's normally what you said that.
So for the sake of doing the things we always do, I'm going to say, Kamen, what have you been playing?
Okay. Patrick, I've been playing nothing.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Here's the thing, guys. And we run a video game podcast, and this is one of those things you just don't think can happen to people who's one of their main hobbies is playing games. But I've got video game burnout.
Yeah.
I had to put aside Final Fantasy because I'd hit a point where I was like, I'm really enjoying this game, but I don't have the energy anymore to invest in this. And I went through, I was like, well, maybe it's a me problem, or it's not a game problem. And I don't think at all it's a game problem. It's a me problem. So maybe there's something else out there that maybe it'll kind of kick my interest and appease me, something that could get me there, right? I dug through the entire PlayStation Summer Sale. I went through my entire backlog.
Yeah.
I even, Patrick, I'll tell you where we are right now. I even was like, what about we go to the old reset? Hit the reset button. Bulletstorm.
Oh, no.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't even do Bulletstorm.
Couldn't even do it, Patrick. It was a sombering moment.
If you're an ongoing listener of this podcast, that tells you what kind of state we're in. If Kamen couldn't even play Burnout. I read the word Burnout. Bulletstorm.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, and it was a sombering moment, Patrick, where I had to take a minute to really sit there and think on this and be like, the fuck is wrong with me? And then it dawned on me. I was like, I put 40 plus hours in Diablo 4.
Yeah.
I put 40 or around 30 plus hours into Final Fantasy back to back. And then before Diablo 4, it was fucking 70 hours in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking ahead and I'm like, this week, Texas Chainsaw Massacre launches. Yeah. And then in a couple more weeks, we get Starfield. We get the console launch of Baldur's Gate. We have so many games coming out.
Yeah.
None of this excites me.
Yeah.
Where normally I would be like, this is so exciting. This is so much. And I think I've hit a point this year in this moment in time. Now, this could change tomorrow. Tomorrow I could wake up, be a whole different boy, right? Brand new boy. But I sat there and I said, "Jeez, fucking Christ! I lack the mental energy to devote to something like this." And I think one of the reasons is because games, one, there's a shit ton of games this year. And I know we've had people decry this from the audience. But all of these games too are 40, 50, 60 plus hours. On top of the fact that apparently Starfield, they're claiming, can be up to 400 hours of gameplay in Starfield. And I've checked out. I've mentally checked out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who has this time in their life?
Right.
And so I hit this moment. And you know what, Patrick? Here's the thing. I said to myself, and this has been a struggle, you know. And so I was like, okay, I'm like, this is crazy. This is fucking crazy. So I did something wild, Patrick.
You sucked your own dick.
I tried.
Yeah.
I am also found out I am not flexible.
Yeah, no, me either.
Actually, Sydney and I have been every morning. We've been doing yoga, a 15-minute yoga session in the morning. My back has been like really, really bad lately. And so I've been trying to do yoga to try to stretch out my back, which honestly has been, it's been helping a little bit.
Yoga with Adrian on YouTube?
I don't know who the lady's name is.
Does she have a dog named Benji?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
She's like a way too attractive person. And then it kind of upsets me because I'm like, fake. Fucking AI. So I did something, Patrick. I picked up and I read a book. Okay?
Which
and then I read another.
2 books.
And then I finished the 5th book. And then I picked up a 6th book and have just ordered 2 more to be delivered this week.
My little reader.
I'm reading 2 books every couple days. Okay?
Are they in a series or you're just bebopping
just
around?
Fucking random ass books. I read a lot of, okay, this is kind of off topic, but I've been reading a lot of splatterpunk. That's like my favorite subject. It's basically trash cinema for books.
Hell yeah.
It's like it gets like you really get in there like Serbian level deep of like fucked up shit. Yes, we don't want to talk about that too much, but if you're interested in horror and you don't mind getting grisly, I got a shit ton of recommendations because that's all I can do right now.
Sure.
Just been reading.
Have you dabbled at all in the hockey romance genre?
No, that's the one thing I haven't done is the hockey romance novels, but I've heard they're great. This one thing I did realize though, Patrick, because a lot of these books have a lot of like a lot of sex in them, sex sells. And you know what I realized? I'm not into smut.
Oh, sure.
Like
doesn't do anything for you.
You can do like just crazy gore stuff and it doesn't faze me. But once you start talking about like sex, I'm just like, I'm turned off.
Interesting.
I'm turned off. It's like that was like the one thing I always skipped through when I read American Psycho. I'd always skip through those parts.
Well,
that's So
it's also fucking graphic.
Yeah. So but yeah, no. So I've just been reading, Patrick. I've just been reading. It's wild to me. And so my question to you.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten video game burnout?
Absolutely.
And what is your remedy for video game burnout?
So I've definitely gotten video game burnout, and partially I've had it with the podcast a few times since we've been doing it. Because there's that, there's that kind of onus that we put on ourselves, but that like we have a new episode next week. I need to talk about something other than the news in terms of, we always talk about what we're playing and like, well, we could always skip that segment if we don't have anything new to say. And sometimes it's very short. But there's that kind of self-imposed pressure of always kind of wanting to be up to date for the sake of a pod. I mean, because we love to be, but also, we don't want to necessarily come across as like we don't know what we're talking about. So that's definitely been part of it. But I think there have also just been times, and I think oftentimes for me, the burnout comes when it's not because of the games. It's because of life, whether it's just stressors, whether it's just a lot of other things that need to be done, or I'm just a sad boy at the time. Like there are just times that you kind of want that escape in a video game to kind of help you feel better. And then it doesn't. And then you're like, well, fuck. What am I
That's a
doing
good
here?
point.
So there's that for sure. But I think for me, the most recently, like just taking a step back, I think has been helpful. Like there have been some times with the podcast where I have tried to like take as much of a break during the week and then like the day before the podcast play a little something that I can talk about, or even the day of the podcast play something to talk about, so that I kind of get that draw to go back instead of saying
Sure.
I should do this because I have time and because I have the obligation of finishing this game. Instead, waiting until I get back to a point of like, I actually want to do this, because I think that for me has been a big part of it is, oh, I have free time, I should just do this because I can, as opposed to I actually want to see what's next. Kind of like with Stray Gods, like there, I could see at a time of being like, uh, having burnout, and then I'm playing Stray Gods, and I'm like, nope, never touching that again.
There's definitely like a level of guilt to it as well when you're like, I paid $70 for this and I can't
Oh,
get through it, and it feels,
absolutely.
it's not like, and I think though it's even worse too. Like there was that moment where I spent all the money, I spent money to get fucking Fallout or fucking Far Cry 6, I think
Oh
it was.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that game sucked ass. I was like, man, I just wasted $60 on a game that I hate. But there's a different level of like guilt when it's like I am having to put aside a game I spent $70 on that's really good.
yeah,
And and I think it's true. And I don't know. I think that it was important. This conversation to me was important because I think you're right. With us doing what we do put like an extra level of stress on, like we have to stay current. So we have to try to burn through things very
yeah.
quickly. And I think that's one of those things that like kind of sucks. I was reading a thing on Reddit the other day, but a guy was like so proud of himself because he was like, I just finished Elden Ring. It's like, cool. He's like, I bought it day one. And I was like, what the flying fuck? Dude, listen to this. Listen to this guy. This guy's fucking insane. Never looked at a guide.
Wow.
Never looked at a guide. The guy's talking. He's like, yeah, I've got like a 2-year-old, so I get a lot of time to play video games. So I get
Yeah.
like an hour a day that like I might be able. And so he's like, and with Elden Ring, there's no pause menu. Fuck you, FromSoft, and all of the games that think that that's what they should do because that's what Souls likes to do. It's so stupid. Put a fucking pause menu in your game, you assholes.
I agree.
Even if you don't give us an easy mode, just put a pause menu in. It can't be hard to code a pause menu.
I agree. It's
Or
bullshit.
maybe it's not. You deleted an entire save file out of the Stray Gods.
True.
Maybe it is tough.
True.
But yeah, the dude apparently was just like, yeah, that's what he did. He would put in like 30 minutes to an hour, never looked at a guide.
Amazing.
Took him like 200 hours to beat the game.
Sounds great.
And it took him like, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, this dude's living the dream.
Yeah.
This dude's living the dream. He's not constrained by like what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world, and I think that's part of my burnout right now, is it is a situation where a lot of these games are very long. And then also it's like they're very long, and it's also like, but you need to get through it very quickly because the next big thing is on the horizon.
Right.
And
then it sucks that enjoyment out.
Yeah, and that's I think where I think I've hit that point where I've like that enjoyment's dried up because I'm like, I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, we have like Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, and I'm just going through the laundry list of shit. And I'm like, dude, this is insane. I know we've talked at great length about it. Have there been too many video games this year? But like, I don't think the other side of that conversation, I don't think we ever addressed was like, do you fly too close to the sun?
Yeah. I definitely, like, for this fall, when really it starts on the 6th of September, so not even the fall, when Starfield and Baldur's Gate come out on console. There are times that you'll ask me, or like people that listen ask me, like, how are you playing so many games? And I spend a lot of my free time doing this. And I look at and that's at the pace we've been getting it, which has been often, but like we're about to get like 14 games in the span of like 2.5 weeks, essentially. And so I'm just going to before we get to that point, pick like the 2 that I want to play, because there's no way I'm not going to be able to do all of it, because then it'll ruin the enjoyment of them. Like next we're going to be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. I finally just finished it. I mean, that game came out 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? May.
Yeah.
And I immediately realized as I was playing it how special this game was, and so I made the very specific choice. I am not going to rush this, because even if that means that I'm not going to be able to have like the most meaningful conversations to start about the game, I would rather have a better experience playing it than make better content, essentially. You know, a very specific, most people listening don't think in those terms when playing a video game, but that's why it took me 3 months to beat it. It's like I want to savor this. I don't want to rush through this. But there are going to be some games this fall that I'll absolutely have to rush through, and that sucks.
Yeah, and that's it. Now for me, I say that right now. Look,
there it is.
There it is. There's my book with, you know what? Let me page mark so I don't lose it. With
Maggie's
my
Grave.
Bart Harley Jarvis sticker is my bookmark. That son of a bitch. But yeah, man. So I've turned to books to be kind of the saving grace. It's something that I don't know, for me right now. That's how I'm staving off this overwhelming feeling of like, oh
yeah.
And you know, here's the thing. I'm looking forward. There's a point where I am looking forward to some things. Like I'm looking forward to Spider-Man specifically.
Yeah. That was gonna be my next question. Like the rest of this year, like if you were only to do one game the rest of the year, what would it be?
Spider-Man 2? I think Spider-Man 2 is the game that like there's still excitement there, but like Starfield to me, it just seems like a monumental task. Baldur's Gate 3, fuck off. Yeah. I want to play that game. I want to play that game, but God, fuck you. It's one of those, and it's interesting. And so we are where we are. And I guess my parting message to the audience, Patrick, if you so do let me do, is, hey, it's okay. Even us, the people who talk about this shit every other week. I mean, every week or every other week, you know, we have that too, that feeling where we have to just put the controller aside and do something else to take to fill that void in us.
Yeah. And hey, if you do think it's outside life things, consider talking to a therapist if you don't. Because hey, maybe these things could potentially be connected. I'm no doctor.
If my wife is listening, yes, Cindy, I know I need to talk to a therapist too. Thank you.
We honestly, we all do.
And Patrick's wife. If Patrick's wife's listening, yes, Rose, I know I need to talk to a therapist.
I've been saying this for years. I mean, I need to talk to a therapist. We all should talk to therapists. I'm sure all of us would have a better quality of life if we talked to somebody. So we should all do that.